Ushtave, radiant peace and happiness to everybody. And before I continue, I would like to say that in a previous video, I said something about the Occidental Temple. I think it partly got taken out of context, but at the same time, I've been talking to other people in the Occidental Temple lately, and some former members. And I have a slightly different point of view now about the Occidental Temple. And like I said before, the previous video, I do not see the Occidental Temple of the Wise Lord as structurally racist, and I definitely don't think Stephen Flowers is racist. My main concern about the Occidental Temple was Jason Jorjani's involvement with it. And after talking to some members of the Occidental Temple, I see that they made Jason Jorjani a non-member right away. So if there is any racism that has come in there, they have certainly been making the best efforts to correct that. And it's restored my faith in things, and I personally prefer Orthodox Zoroastrianism, but I have nothing against what the Occidental Temple does, and I think it's great that they're creating more popularity for Zoroastrianism. So that being said, now to get to what this video is about, and it is about Jason Jorjani. And so I want to do this video in a way that is objective, but I'm going to try to be as objective as possible because we all have biases. But I also am just going to be straightforward. I'm not going to water down what I think or how I perceive the situation. So basically, before I begin into the video of Jason Jorjani and the rebuttal, I'm going to begin by showing the pictures that I saw on his Facebook, which maybe they've gotten taken down, I don't know, but I saved them just in case. And then I'm going to go into the video, and then I'm going to talk about his rebuttal, which was on Jeffrey Mishlov's New Thinking Aloud. And I want to be clear that this is nothing against Jeffrey Mishlov. And please, some of the people that don't like Jason Jorjani, don't harass Jeffrey Mishlov on my behalf. I would be very upset about that because, A, you shouldn't harass anybody, even Jason Jorjani. But B, I think he's innocent. I think he's an interviewer. I think he liked Jason Jorjani personally and wants to give him the benefit of the doubt. And maybe is having a hard time accepting the types of things that Jason Jorjani has been involved with. So that being said, I'm going to start off by showing the Facebook photos, and so you can make your choice there by the time you get to the end of this video. Now that you've seen these photos, let us take a look at this video.
It's going to end with the expulsion of the majority of the migrants, including citizens who have Muslim descent, generally speaking. That's how it's going to end. It's going to end with concentration camps and expulsions and war at the cost of a few hundred million people. Put it this way, we will have a Europe in 2050 where the banknotes have Adolf Hitler, Napoleon Bonaparte, Alexander the Great. And Hitler will be seen like that, like Napoleon, like Alexander, not like some weird monster who's unique in his own category. No, he's just going to be seen as a great European leader. You know, like we say in English, you don't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
Okay, so now you've seen the video. And now I'm going to talk about his rebuttal to this libel. And I want to give Jason Jorjani the benefit of the doubt, but there's these stacks of evidence against him. And yeah, I know I went off on Jason Jorjani on the Gmail list. He threatened to sue me for libel. Still waiting for a letter from his attorney, but I haven't gotten it. I'm kind of disappointed. But at this point, it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm doing this video and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He has all this evidence stacked against him, even before that video. And so, unfortunately, even after watching his rebuttal to this supposed libel, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. And I'll tell you why. When I watched this video, the video was kind of like going on and on about stuff that wasn't really related to the supposed libel, but more about how he has Jewish friends or how he's a feminist. And, well, I mean, in truth, I've met a lot of racist people who are feminist when it came to their own women. So, I mean, that doesn't really mean anything. But, you know, I'm just... But finally he gets to the point and where he's addressing that video that was spread around by, it was either the Washington Post or the Huffington Post, I forgot which. But I remember that his argument in his defense was, I was merely making a prediction of a possible dystopian future because of this push towards multiculturalism and immigration reform. And I looked at that defense. Well, here's where he's still giving a white nationalist argument, though. And it's a white nationalist argument of blaming the victim, okay? Because I'm going to level with you here. Multiculturalism does not create concentration camps. Immigrants do not create concentration camps, okay? Dictators create concentration camps. So, well, it's the people pushing multiculturalism's fault for pushing multiculturalism that motivates a tyrant to institute concentration camps. No, that doesn't fly with me. I'm still not seeing. This is why I'm not buying his argument right here. Because A, you got the photos I showed you on his Facebook. And to be fair, he's no longer a part of the National Policy Institute or the alt-right. He's since disavowed himself from that. But it's not to say that his same viewpoint can't be taken in a different form. After all, I mean, it comes in a lot of different forms. There's folkishness, there's white nationalism, white separatism. There's all these different names for really the same thing, but there's just some minor tweaks, some minor differences between them. And in so wanting to give Jason Jorjani the benefit of the doubt, because yeah, it's obvious that video was edited, but does that mean that what was in the video was wrong? Or that it was portraying him falsely? Perhaps the video was edited because he was just jumping around in circles before he finally got to the point. And in the case of the Jeffrey Mishlove interview, he was just kind of going around all in these different places before finally getting to the point. And so, in wanting to give Jason Jorjani the benefit of the doubt, Jason, if you're watching this, this clearly was a part of your past. And the reason why I personally am skeptical is because I have not seen you own up to it as a part of your past, or that you've ever subscribed to these ideologies, because as you see in the pictures that I showed previously in this video, you clearly had some sympathy towards it. So, Jason, if this is really just your past, if this is something you totally disavow now, perhaps your best move forward would be to own up to your past and apologize. I personally would recommend going the extra mile a little bit. Not only owning up to your past and apologizing, but really getting involved in trying to fight racism, because it's a serious poison. Getting involved with rallies, protest, sit-ins, getting involved with activist organizations. Just really going that extra mile to fight the good fight. I think Christian Picoletti, who's the founder of Life After Hate, he's no longer a part of that group, but he's still doing great, magnificent work, and Life After Hate is still doing great and magnificent work to de-radicalize young white men who have been pulled into this sort of thing. Be like Christian Picoletti, who's really making an effort to make it up to the people he's hurt. And he's doing a lot of great stuff. And that would be my advice right there. Because I get it, we've all had bad associations. I mean, I too have fallen into these traps of prejudice myself, and I've worked very hard to unlearn it, and I'm still working hard to unlearn it because it's so ingrained in our culture that it's a constant process unlearning this way of thinking. And so yeah. And before I conclude this video, because I know there's going to be some comments. There's going to be some hate in the comments, and I'm expecting it. There's going to be some hate in the comments of people making claims that have nothing to do with what this video was talking about. I could just see it, because I've seen it before, and it happens every time I post a video like this. Well, nationalism isn't always racism. You're right, and I never said such a thing. You said that. Okay? I was specifically talking about white nationalism, which happens to be a racial form of nationalism. And now my personal view of nationalism, I think that the world needs to evolve to where we transcend nationalism. Am I completely against nationalism? Well, I am sympathetic to the nationalism of the oppressed. I am not sympathetic to the nationalism of the oppressor. So let me explain. The nationalism of the Zoroastrians who live in Yazd is a nationalism of the oppressed. The nationalism of the Ayatollah is a nationalism of the oppressor. You see the difference? So that's where I stand. In case you're wondering all these things, and yes, I think people, no matter what background they belong to, should take pride in their heritage. They should really embrace their heritage. I encourage that for anyone, European descent or whatever. But just because I don't want to separate myself from anyone, and just because I don't hate anybody, doesn't mean that I don't embrace being a Danish American. I very much do. I very much do. I eat Danish food. I listen to Danish music. I play Danish music. I celebrate Yule the way Danish people tend to celebrate Yule. But it doesn't mean that I have to endorse nonsense. Okay? So that being said, I wish everybody radiant peace and happiness. En Ustave.